All right. Hi, I am Zach DeWeerd, and I am the host of the Night Sports Show. We are back for another semester here. I'm here with my friend Mark Vanderlugt, Alex Vanderlaan, and Caleb Radley. So what we do here is we just talk about what's going on in the world of sports. We talk about any sport. We try and focus a lot about baseball and hockey, but today we're gonna talk a lot about football and what's going on in that sport. So one topic that I really wanted to focus on was today. Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, he actually said to his team, "You are not going to show up to the field during the anthem because I don't want any of the media picking on you." So I just want to have your thoughts on maybe that or maybe the whole what's going on in the United States about this protest. So if anybody has thoughts, feel free to share.
I like it.
You like the idea of Mike Tomlin keeping his players in the dressing room?
Yeah, I like that Tomlin's trying to keep the media away. His direct quote was to CBS. He said, "We're football players. We're football coaches. We're not participating in the anthem today. Not to be disrespectful to the anthem, but to remove ourselves from the circumstance." And I think that's a very mature quote of Tomlin. He's showing his stance, but he's also keeping his team out of the heat. He's saying we're strictly focusing on football today, guys. And yeah, I like that.
I think it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. As a professional athlete in the United States, the anthem is part of the pregame ceremony, and I don't care if you like it or not. You participate in that. Mike Tomlin deserves to get fired, in my opinion, because that is the most Bush League awful thing I've ever heard.
No, but you see,
the funny part is he's saying he wants to stay out of politics, yet who's the talk of the town today? Oh, yeah,
that's
the
fair.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Good try, Mike Tomlin.
Okay, at the same time, why should he be fired? Why should he be fired from his job? On what grounds should he be fired?
Because the
Standing up for
national...
what he believes in?
Standing in... So, basically putting himself against the United States is what he believes in.
How is he putting himself against the United States?
It's the national anthem.
And what does that mean? Okay, how is he putting himself against the United States?
The United States national anthem, believe it or not, is a song about the United States.
I know.
And so it's kind of like when Taylor Swift sings Blank Space, the song's about blank space.
Freedom of speech.
So freedom of speech, this is not speech, this is sitting on their bums in the dressing room because they are not...
Freedom of thought, freedom of opinion, okay? These guys are standing up.
They're not standing up, they're sitting down. They're on their knees.
For what they believe in.
They're on their knees or they're on their bum. They're not standing up.
I don't see any problem with that.
If they did stand up for what they believe, it's a different thing.
And they're doing that. You can't just take away their right and be like,
I find it tough how these players have the audacity to make millions of dollars off the NFL, an American-run organization, yet not stand up for the anthem of the country that's given them the platform and opportunity. That is
exactly
unbelievable.
The point of their platform. They're using their platform to stand up for their cause.
And what's their cause?
Racism.
Okay, so standing on, or actually not standing, is going to fix racism in the United States.
It's going to create a conversation. Would we be talking about this right now if these players weren't acting the way they've been acting?
And what's changing with us talking about it?
Who knows?
I think racism in the States is cured. We've done it. It's over. Alex and I over here in Niagara University College have fixed racism based on the fact that Mike Tomlin and the boys had a couple extra brewskis in the pregame locker room because they couldn't go out for the national anthem.
There's a picture on social media.
There's another picture on social media, and the one guy who is the ex-Army veteran, guess what he's doing? He's standing for the anthem because millions of people who went...
The team is behind him. They're all in the tunnel.
Well, then why couldn't they be outside? If they're standing in the tunnel, they're standing outside. They're just trying to... No, they're trying to make a scene. Mike Tomlin's trying to get his name in the news. Good job, Mike Tomlin. You're the worst coach in the NFL. He's trying to get his name out.
I don't think you can call him the worst coach. He's a Super Bowl winner.
They lost to the Bears today, so he's not
they
great.
lost to the Bears, man.
Well, he still won a Super Bowl.
Mike Tomlin's got to worry more about coaching a team and less about getting all political. Him and Kaepernick, it's really funny. Once they get out of the limelight, all of a sudden they're turning into these big guys for racism.
Do you think that Kaepernick should have a job in the NFL?
No, not a chance.
If you tell me there's 64 better quarterbacks in the world than Colin Kaepernick,
it's extremely funny to me. This is the best part. that Kaepernick didn't think there was race. Like, I don't know if there was racism in the States 3 years ago, but obviously there wasn't, because Kaepernick said, no, there's no racism 3 years ago.
What does it have to do with when he started this protest? I don't get why
because
it's a problem.
now that Kaepernick isn't a starter and one of the best in the league, he's got to make, oh man, my name's disappearing. Tim Tebow could have done this. He's not doing that. Tim Tebow's going and helping homeless people. He's got better things to do than sit during the anthem.
Standing up for racism.
No, he's sitting down. And secondly, he could have done this 3 years ago when he was a starter. Think about the impact that would have made. But now that he's not a starter, oh man, I got to put my name in the news because I'm junk now. And nobody thinks anything of. Okay, you can say no all you want, but I'm saying nobody thinks anything of Kaepernick other than the fact that he sat down because he is not the quarterback he used to be, and nobody wants him. If he was trying to get a job,
he wouldn't have done this. If he was trying to get a job, he wouldn't have done this, because this is the whole reason that he doesn't have a job. But that he believes in this cause that much, that he's willing to be unemployed.
That is completely untrue. I had no clue. They've said that they had no clue that this would blow up like that.
But he stood by it. He stood by it no matter what.
He sat by it.
Either way.
I think at the end of the day, I don't know if, Mark, you got a different opinion. You've been really vocal here.
Mark's got a lot to say on this.
Anyone who sits for the national anthem has no respect for their country, and that's fine. If you don't have respect for your country, that's fine. People are going to...
I don't think it's about respect.
I'm still not done. They don't have to have respect for their country. That's great. But I read a comment today on Facebook, and the guy put it just perfectly. If you don't have respect for your country, why are you living here? I'm still not done. All these guys don't have any respect for their country. Obviously, if they're not... The anthem is the most... generalized song sort of respect that you can have. You stand. That's just how it goes. That is the American anthem is a song about America and the freedom and all the rights that have been fought for them.
Those rights are freedom of speech, which
I'm still not done. And so what I'm saying is, if you don't agree with the United States and what's going on, that's great, but leave. Go to Canada and play in the CFL.
Why
Go to Europe and play.
Why should they just leave?
Start the XFL again. That was a joke.
But
just don't make money off this organization that you are kind of slapping in the face in the background.
It in the face. They're still going out and doing their jobs.
Okay, this is like a guy working at a paper company who believes in friggin' electronic and no paper.
No one would care what that guy had to say.
Why would you be in a paper company if you don't like paper?
These guys love football.
Oh, yeah, okay. They love football, and they love the attention of saying, oh, I know, blah, 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 my name's going to get in the news.
It's not about that, man. It's about...
It's about what? Racism? Is it solved? Have we fixed it?
Would we be talking about this right now? Okay, would we be? No, we wouldn't be.
There's a completely different thing.
No, we wouldn't be. What if... Okay, you say they should just leave.
I've talked about racism my whole life. I've been talking my whole life. This has nothing to do with talking about racism. It's not like I'm enlightened on racism now. Oh, man, I didn't know what racism was 2 weeks ago. But then Colin Kaepernick, he really let me know what racism was. Sure, I can have a conversation about anything. I could go tomorrow, go to a Leafs game, and run butt naked on the ice. That would get talked about. And what am I sharing for?
Because nobody cares.
Nudity?
Okay, nobody cares. These guys have the platform.
I can make a story
they
right
can stand
now.
Up. No, these guys are standing up for what they believe in.
They're sitting down.
You're saying they should leave.
Okay.
What if Martin Luther King would have left? What if he would have been like, yeah, I don't like it, I'm moving to Canada. Everyone else would just suffer. He stood up for racism too.
Yeah, in a respectable,
How isn't this respectable,
way.
Man? How isn't this respectable?
Respectable.
How isn't this respectable? Can you please?
It's not respectable
elaborate?
because the national anthem is the most sacred song in the United States. Yeah, you know what that word means? It means sacred. If they're sitting down,
you see, the national anthem. Men and women fought for the right for these guys to have this freedom of speech, and they're exercising these rights.
They're not exercising anything. They're sitting down. The one guy that was in the army. The one guy.
And the rest of the team is right behind him.
Right behind him in the freaking tunnel. And he was in the tunnel too. No, he wasn't. He popped out of the tunnel because he has respect.
How isn't this guy... Who's stopping... So you say that these guys are doing it for their own personal good. For their own personal good. Is that what you're saying?
Colin Kaepernick did.
So how do we know this army guy isn't doing this for his own personal good?
He's not, because he has a history of being in the army and putting his life on the line.
When you can produce this technology, then suddenly you've gotten this guy's head and you know exactly what he's thinking. You should really share that with everyone else.
It's called reading up on an interview that he had, or you can do the technology. That sounds cool. I'll take it.
Or you can read up on any Kaepernick interview, any Michael Bennett interview.
Kaepernick's trying to get all the TV time he can because he's done it
No,
about a
he's
year
not.
once this flies
No,
over.
he is not.
Kaepernick is
How do you know that?
The worst quarter. Oh, he's not even in the NFL. But if he was, he would be the worst in the NFL.
See, we can't make this a football discussion because he's clearly a top 60 quarterback in the world, and multiple NFL players. Multiple NFL players have come out and said that he should be in the league.
What are his 2017 stats looking like?
This isn't a football conversation.
His 2017
this is
stats
a society
are
conversation
0 for
right
0
now.
with 1 sit down and 1 try for fame. And that would be an 0 for 1 because this is just ridiculous that he's done this.
This isn't for fame.
I'm just saying, if the
How
if
can
the
you
Army
say
guy
this is still
sat
for
down,
fame? How can you say this is still for fame?
Colin Kaepernick had everything. He was in the fame,
And he lost
3
it all
years ago.
for this cause.
He was no.
Yes,
If he had done this 3 years, lost it.
He lost. He was a
Colin
starting
Kaepernick
quarterback.
is the biggest talker.
He was a starting quarterback.
He sat down. Yeah,
He's done what he wanted to do.
All right, this has been a great debate, but we're going to try and focus more on sports.
honestly cannot.
So
Thank you.
another big sports topic that's happened today. We're all Jays fans here. Jose Bautista.
You know you're wrong.
Jose Bautista likely
Because I
played
believe
in
this.
his last home game at the Rogers Center.
Yeah, and
do you think Jose Bautista is done at this Blue Jay?
He stood for the anthem, first of all. Secondly, Jose Bautista has got to go because, again, if he were to sit, he's not good anymore. He's junk, so it would be all for attention. It would be for attention. So, now that's put aside, yes, he should retire. He's the worst player on the Jays. He's barely batting 200. Sure, he's got 20-some-odd home runs, if that. So does every single player in the MLB because it's the most home runs in the league ever this year. And he is arguably the worst outfielder I've ever seen in my life behind Colin Kaepernick. So I would say get rid of him. Don't sign him. $18 million, that was the worst $18 million. We could have had Encarnacion back. Just send the guy off to wherever he wants to go. He's not a threat. If he goes to the Yankees, I don't care. It's a free out. It's time to get rid of him. He's awful.
I agree that his career is certainly over. Like, clearly he's not the player he once was, but I think we're still willing to treat Bautista with respect. Like, we loved him when he hit that home run against Texas.
So treat Bautista with respect,
standing
not
ovation.
the American anthem.
Okay. They gave him a standing ovation.
And I was very happy about that.
I agree. I was as well.
He deserves it. He's been a model citizen in Toronto. 100%. He's been a role model. He was part of that team that put the Jays back on the map.
I completely disagree with that. I think he's been one of the worst players for the Jays in the sense of
we all loved him when he had 54
models.
home runs, or when he had that home run against Texas.
Yeah, we did. And then we all hated him when he said that he's not getting a hometown discount for the place that made him the player he is. He never treated any of the media with respect.
See, hometown discounts.
And, I just think he's not really...
Is he from Toronto? Is he from Toronto?
Do they have a team in Dominican?
Is he going to play for the
Dominican Thunderbirds?
Is he from Toronto?
Toronto made him a player.
When Bautista was hitting
when he was on the
50
Pirates,
home runs
he was
a year,
awful.
he was making $12 million. He was making $12 million right now, R.A. Dickey. Okay? Bautista was hitting 50 home runs, making $12 million. He had a discount for a long time in this city.
Sorry, $12 million is not sufficient?
What kind of hometown discount are you looking for?
Well, the fact that he batted under 250 last year, I would have given him, maybe 10 mil. We've been paying him $12 million for 10 years now. Be nice to,
see
get a bit of a discount.
$10 million gets you in the MLB today. You go check what that's going to get you. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah. What I think, I don't know what I think right now, because Bautista, he brought a feeling and emotion to Toronto with baseball. He made people watch baseball because people didn't know what he was going to do that game. He brought a chip on his shoulder. He brought an ego. And people in Toronto are very passionate people. We love seeing emotion in sports. Okay? But emotion in baseball, for some reason, is always talked down upon. And I don't know why. And Bautista is a player that I don't know. I think Bautista should be honored for what he has done to Toronto. He has definitely put Toronto on the baseball map.
Okay, my next question then. Would you put Bautista on the Wall of Fame in Toronto? On the
yes,
Center?
I don't
absolutely.
think I would. He's been responsible for a lot of big baseball moments in Toronto, but in reality, he had a good 5 or 6 year run here.
Like, can you put him in the same category as Roberto Alomar? and Joe Carter.
I don't think you can.
He's not in the same category as them in terms of how good he was when he was in Toronto. Bautista was one of the premier hitters in the MLB when he was at the top of his game, but was he elite? You know,
well, I think
was
he was certainly elite when he was hitting 54 home runs.
He led the home run. Yeah. He led the home run MLB in home runs for 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive. Like, he was certainly elite, but again, it wasn't for that long in Toronto. So
does he go to the Hall of Fame?
On that. No, I don't think so.
Does he? No.
His peak wasn't long enough.
But what I say, what doesn't make him elite, is that his defensive game was never anything to write home about.
Back in his prime, he had one of the better arms in baseball.
Yeah, he had a cannon of an arm, but was he as agile as Kevin Pillar?
What more do you want out of a right fielder, though, right?
No, I know, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He was a good player for what he was in his prime when he was with the Jays. He was, in hockey terms, a power forward in baseball. You know, he was a heavy player. He'd go for the home runs, and then he'd cannon his arm in the outfield. You know, he played hard. He played with emotion. He played with aggression, and he played his heart out for Toronto. You know, but while he did that, though, he did bring a chip on his shoulder. You know, he brought a bit of an ego, which a lot of people, unfortunately, don't like.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that. That Jays team had swagger, and that was good.
The issue I have is a lot of these greats who are looked back on as one of the best play their career to a complete finish. And they're not guys who, you know, are trying to sign for as much money before they end, but they're trying to win that championship. And I felt like with Bautista, they were so close, and it just seemed like he just cared more about the money. He didn't take a discount to try and get the Jays back to the postseason. He just tried to get every penny out of the organization and made it clear that he wasn't going to take a hometown discount and threatened to go to a rival team. In my opinion, looking back on his career, if he had quit after 2015, which obviously he shouldn't have done, but if he did, I think so highly of him. He had a great season. You know, he took that hometown discount for years. But the fact that he just hit 205 and made the Jays pay $18 million and, in my opinion, cost them a chance at the postseason because he took so much money and they had nothing else to do with the cap. You know, we had to get Steve Pearce and Morales. And Steve Pearce, I think, had 2 hits this year. They were 2 grand slams, and that's all he did. He sucked in left field. He couldn't play. And Morales was just, in my opinion, a waste of $11 million. But if he had just gone about things differently, you know, a little bit less money, a little bit nicer to the media, a more complete final season, you know, I think we look back on him a lot better. But should his, you know, number be retired? He hit 205 in his final year. That is unbelievably bad.
How old is he right now? 36, 37,
That's unbelievably bad.
It's kind of sad that it had to end this way because, yeah, he was such a great player in Toronto for so long. And then his last season, like, I hope people don't remember him for this. I don't think they will. I think that people will remember him for the bat flip and for the 54 home runs. I really do. But, yeah, it's just too bad he had to go out in this kind of way.
So another question I have. Next year, do you see Bautista on any team? Will he get a contract, or will he just retire? Call it a year.
I really don't think so. I mean, look at how much trouble he had finding a contract this year, and he wasn't even terrible last year. The market for that kind of player, like a DH guy that's going to hit low 200s and hit 20 home runs, there's really no market for that kind of player right now. The only team I could maybe see him going to is Tampa because they like do this kind of thing where they'll take on older guys to play DH and somehow get some use out of him. But I can't, like, he can't go to a National League team. He can't play defense anymore. And yeah, other than Tampa, maybe I really can't see anyone wanting him.
I don't think he's going to retire.
Maybe he'll be like a Yager in the NHL who's just searching for a contract.
I don't think his ego would let him be a bench player. Like, he'd retire before he was relegated to a bench role.
Yeah, I think so as well.
It really depends if anyone will give him a starting spot, I think he'll be back, but I can't see that happening.
Well, he's batting right now 205?
204.
Yeah, not good offensive numbers. And if any team were to sign him and then look to trade him, they will literally have to pay teams to take him because his market for his position is negative value. people at the top of that market aren't even, in terms of what a star player should get, aren't even getting a good enough return.
Yeah, I'm sure Bautista doesn't like the way the season's went either, right? And again, he has a big ego.
Not.
He doesn't want to be remembered as someone that sputtered out at the end of his career, right?
Well, but it's age happens in any sport, though. You're not going to produce like you were when you were 32, when you're 38.
He has made his money, so.
And he should have realized that and been a lot better about the way that he went out with things, because I think it was embarrassing on his part. Trying to get the $18 million out of the Jays, making sure that they couldn't sign anyone else. Look at the season; it was pathetic.
I'm pretty sure Bautista was the last signing the Jays made, though. They signed Bautista after Morales.
You can't say if they had a replacement level player instead of Bautista in right field, they would have been in the playoffs.
I'm not
they
saying
had a lot of big issues.
I'm not saying that, but we
I think
could have
Bautista
had
was a minor issue
back.
on their scale.
We could have had Encarnacion back.
The Jays
he wanted to
they
come
offered
back.
the same contract as Cleveland did. Just didn't happen.
Exactly. So you offer a little bit more.
But
Bautista's not so picky.
that was before they even signed Batista, though.
Yeah, but they knew in the back of their head that they had to sign
Did they,
him.
though?
Yes.
I don't know. I think Batista got desperate.
No, they wanted to get both of them back the whole offseason.
Well, if they wanted Edwin, then they would have got him.
They did. They offered him the same contract. But they could have offered him more if Bautista just kind of loosened up and said, sure, I'll take
Batista
12.
loosened up pretty far. What did he want at the start of the offseason?
I think he wanted
25, didn't he?
He wanted 3 years.
He loosened up quite a bit.
Here it is, okay? Money with Bell and Rogers and wherever in Toronto is never an issue when you're paying a guy like Troy Tulowitzki more than $20 million a season, okay?
That's just stupid money.
It doesn't matter how much money they were going to give Edwin Encarnacion. They offered him a contract. It's his agent that said no to it. It's his agent, not Edwin. Edwin's agent wanted to get him as much money as possible because of the seasons he had in Toronto, the hometown discount that he took in Toronto.
Do you guys think that, let's say they don't sign Bautista, they sign Edwin instead, they don't sign Morales, and they sign, I don't know, Josh Reddick to play right field. Do you think they'd be a playoff team right now?
No. You need to look at their whole entire lineup.
J.A. Happ washed out. Estrada gonna be lucky to hit 500 next year, like record-wise.
500 what?
Like a record, like a win-loss.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Liriano, I don't even know if he's playing anymore.
Liriano's back in Houston. But he'll be a bullpen guy for the Astros.
Stroman has just shown that, he hit his max this year and he got 12 wins. Congrats, man, you're junk. And
Stroman's done really well. He has
it's
an ERA
tough
of
to
3.
get more than 12 wins when you have a lineup like that.
That's true. He's not.
His ERA is 3, and I'll take an ERA of 3 any single day.
I'm taking that every single day.
Innings.
Stroman
You can't blame the offense on Stroman.
No. At the end of the day, we don't have an ace. We don't have 4 guys behind an ace. Our bullpen has always been a joke. Even in the prime, the bullpen's been a joke. It's not that we sign good guys. It's just they're a joke.
No.
So you would say that this
they're
season,
not even that good, though.
This is a disappointment of a season.
No, it's not. This is what I projected to happen.
No, we all projected them to get the wild card spot.
I think a big thing this offseason,
beginning.
they need Sanchez to be healthy. That's a huge piece.
When you look at their kind of season, it really revolves around J.A. Happ, Estrada, and Sanchez just not being lucky with their starts and with their injuries. Because if you give Aaron Sanchez 10, 15, 20 more starts, along with 200 innings, along with a 3 to 4 ERA, with 10 to 15 wins, along with Estrada being better, and along with J.A. Happ being better, this team is a wild card team.
The Jays over the past
you have Sanchez. You don't need to use Brett Anderson or Tim
Exactly.
Coley.
Over the past 2 years, though, when they were a playoff team, they got very lucky with pitching in terms of both injuries and guys continually outperforming their career numbers. So in some sense, you could say this is just they're regressing to the norm, and maybe that was a very steep regression. But again, this team has a lot of issues that need to be addressed this offseason for sure.
Put it this way. Did the Jays underperform this year?
Yes.
See, I say no.
I
say they played completely
possibly
normally.
Not, yeah.
I think they played. Donaldson had a bit of an off year. That's bound to happen. Tulowitzki was out, so that's not even a thing. Justin Smoke overperformed, Pilar had a typical season. Pierce, typical season. Russell Martin, some injuries, but typical season. All their pitchers, typical seasons. The Jays are just that bad now.
What kind of, they were off to what, a 2-11 start, I believe? I think 2-11, right, guys?
2-11.
So let's say they go 5-6 in that stretch instead of 2-11, which this is really hypothetical right now. But back in August when they were 3 games out, if they would have went 5-6 in that first stretch instead of 2-11, they would have been right there. And who knows? Maybe that makes management then turn them into a buyer instead of selling away Liriano at the deadline. Who, I mean, he wasn't really doing much. But I think it all comes back to that terrible start they got off to.
I
put them
agree.
behind from this beginning.
You can lose this. You can't win the season in your first 15 games, but you can definitely lose it, and they lost it.
Certainly lost it.
If they won 11-1 instead of 1-11, they're a playoff team. They're in the playoffs. So I think it's just they played to their abilities, and it showed that they're not that team anymore because Donaldson has to be outstanding. Tulo, Sanchez, and Martin have to stay healthy, which they can't. We all knew that Happ and Estrada weren't going to go 20-4 again each this year. And the bullpen's always been bad. So I think that the Jays just played their abilities. I say that they sell really big at this offseason and try and start to somehow rebuild and get things going the better direction. Because right now they have no farm system and they have no team. So I don't really know where they're supposed to be going right now.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back talking about more baseball in just a few moments. Here is Monster Truck and Sweet Mountain River. All right, we are back on the Night Sports Show. You just heard Red Flag by Billy Talent, and before that was Monster Truck and Sweet Mountain River. So we just talked a little bit about the NFL and their protests. We talked a little bit about the Blue Jays and what went wrong with their season, Jose Bautista. We're going to go in a bit of a different direction here. We're going to talk about the NCAA, which is obviously college in the States. We're going to talk about whether college athletes should get paid. So we know that the NCAA is a massive, massive industry making billions of dollars, but they prohibit the athletes from getting paid. So all three of the guys, and myself included, have points we want to make on this debate. So I open the floor to you guys now.
Let's start with what side does everyone take? Let's see the numbers here.
This is going to get heated. I firmly think they should get paid.
I say they shouldn't.
And drum roll, please. I think they should.
What do you say, Zach?
I do not think they should.
Perfect. 2v2.
All right, so let's start explaining what sides and why.
Why not? There's so much money available.
Yes.
It's a crime that these schools are taking this much money in and not giving any back to the athletes that work for it.
I say there's an incentive to it. You know, you want to get paid more, you got to work for it. You know, if you're not getting paid, what's the use of playing then?
I think it's
I don't know. Maybe to try to get to the NFL and make $1 million trillion. For my point is,
great for the 1%.
So many of these students would not be in school if it wasn't for football or sports or anything.
A lot of these kids get free tuition because of their sport as well.
But the amount that the school makes off their backs is ridiculous compared to that little free $20,000, $50,000, whatever dollars tuition.
It's like 1 or 2% of these people actually make it on.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But like when you say
if you're just paying all these kids, that's great. You pay them the money, but you're just digging them into a deeper hole because you're like, oh, I want to play football. I'll go make money. And then the 99% of kids who don't make it now have a useless degree. They have their couple of $1,000s that they made from this, and now they have nothing going for them.
So otherwise they have their useless degree, no money, and nothing going for them.
But how much, when you say they should get paid, how much do you think that they should get paid?
I don't know the exact numbers.
Well, you have to know, or you can't argue for that side.
I don't
you
think
have to know how much they should get paid, where the money's going to come from. How do you know?
Where's the money going to come from? These schools, Ohio State made, what was the number that came out the other day?
It was like
$150 million off their football program.
$140 million was like charges to the football program because these things cost massive amounts of money. They still
make so much money.
That's not profit. That's revenue. So the actual profits, it's not like they have.
They make
just
stupid money,
millions of dollars just sitting there ready to give out.
Yes,
to
they
players.
do.
They don't. We learned this in class. I don't know where maybe you're not in that
I'm
class.
not in that class.
Okay, but we learned this, and they don't. There's a ton of money that goes into this. That they don't just have this money sitting around. First of all, second of all, think about the yard sale it would cause trying to sign these young, not knowledgeable, no agents. How would this even...
Who says that the current system has to change? What if there's a uniform thing that each player gets? Each player gets the same uniform contract.
And that's a joke.
Why?
You're gonna have
at least you're getting something better than nothing they're getting right now.
Kicker making the same as the top. Imagine Johnny Manziel in college is making the same as a third-string punter.
I'm sure Johnny Manziel would take whatever money he could have made back then.
I think Johnny Manziel had more drive to make it to the NFL because he wasn't making money and he wanted to be
Johnny Manziel, you're making $20,000 in college. You could make $20 million in the NFL, but you're not going to put in the same work because you're getting that $20,000 right now. I really don't think his mindset would have been like that. Whereas maybe that third-string kicker, if I get cut from the team, I'm not getting that $20,000 I could be getting. I'm going to work harder to stay on the team.
Why do they need $20,000? They're getting their school paid for. They don't need money. Get a job in the summer, you're fine.
They can't. They're literally not alled to make money.
They can get a job in the summer as long as
if they get a job in the summer. How are they going to stay on the football team? How are they going to be able to train?
Train? They're not working 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's a full-time job for these players.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the summer you get a job.
They can't because they have to train to stay in shape, to stay on the football team, so they can stay.
So they train 24 hours a day.
And they train 8 hours a day.
Okay, and you're up for 14? Get a job the other 5. There you go. You don't. I don't. First of all, I think you're wrong in the sense that they train for 8 hours a day. I think you're a little bit wrong on that. Maybe some guys. I don't think the human body physically can train for 8 hours.
No, I don't think it's 8 hours a day as well.
I really don't think.
Maybe they have.
The point is, this is a full-time job for these people, for these players. They don't have time to have a little side job working at the gas station on the side.
But you also realize that the programs they're in are not really. They just go into joke programs, and some guys do school seriously, but the other guys don't.
The thing is that there's.
I go to school. That's a full-time job, and I can still somehow get a job in the summer.
What it comes down to for me is the money is there, so why not? Why not?
And my answer is, one, I don't know how you're going to decide the amounts of money.
That's not up to me.
2, they are getting money. Okay, here's my thing. Not only are they getting school paid for, which in the States is an astronomical number that's free. I'm not done.
Okay.
I'm not done.
Okay, let me finish.
But think about the hockey game that we went to last week where there were 5,000 people there. I would have killed to be on that rink. And I would have killed to be on that rink and have free tuition. So these kids aren't being mistreated. They are the top people. Just think about it. They're alphas on the campus. And everyone knows them. Everyone loves them. They're getting so much fame. I'm still not done.
I wasn't going to say anything.
You breathed. Secondly, they're getting free tuition while getting to play the sport that they love. They're not animals just shoved in a pen and used for money. They are getting to play sports in front of millions and millions of people. They're getting tuition paid for, and they're getting future. Forget the word, but they're getting exposure to all the NFL scouts, all the people that are going to make them something.
They're getting recognition.
They're getting complete recognition across not even the States, but the world. And if they really are a great football player, they will make it somewhere with no college debt and a job in the NFL. The guys who suck, that's their issue that they came to play football. But in the same way, a guy who's the backup punter still gets to go to school for a discounted charge, and who knows if he would have gone to school.
So I'm sorry if I'm taking your point here, Mark, but that article, Mark just pulled up an article that showed that the average Texas University football player is worth over $600,000 per season. $600,000. And what's he getting? Maybe $30,000 free tuition? So where's the rest of this money that he deserves going? The university's keeping it.
If he's
They're
so
keeping
good,
it.
then he'll be signing millions of dollars in his first year in the NFL.
What if he gets hurt?
Then he has a degree that's paid for.
You keep saying these are useless degrees, though. So
some guys make useless degrees if they're that good.
The
other guys, some guys get good degrees, and they'll go on and they'll be smart about it. It really depends on the player. I'm just saying they get a degree.
This
and
$600,000 a year. The school's making so much money off these guys' backs. It's criminal that they're using them in this way. It's criminal.
It's not criminal because this is what they signed up for.
But the money is there. They didn't have a choice. It's not like they were offered. It's not like
Alex,
a choice you can make money or not.
These players have the decision to go to university.
Not really. For some of them, football is all they do. Football is all they do.
So that's
any kind of good at.
I was getting there. They have two choices. They can go to university and pay $30,000 or whatever the number is, X amount of dollars, and go to university for a degree. Or they can go to university, get the $30,000 paid for, play in front of millions of people, get exposure, and play on the football team all for free with the same degree. How is this? This is the chance of a lifetime.
Look, I get it. It's amazing for them.
Go in your shoes.
No,
Let's say you
I'd
could
be
play
so
on
happy.
the Brock soccer team
But
and get your school paid for, even though they don't do that in Canada. But you get your school paid for, you get to play in front of thousands of people, and you're on the Brock soccer team studying sport management. Or you can come to Brock and you can study sport management, pay your tuition. You don't play on the team. Are you getting used if you're on the soccer team?
100%. If they're making this much money off of me, yes, I am.
Texas A&M is one of the biggest college programs.
Exactly.
A lot of the other schools are probably scraping to get.
I'd say the majority of Division I schools are making pretty good money off.
Okay, so let's just say that the average school, if Texas A&M is $622, what do we want to say the average school gets? 200?
Sure, even if it's 200,000, and not every player on the team has a scholarship.
So you're going to give these guys $200,000 each?
Sure.
And how is? Okay, so here's the issue.
What's the issue here?
They're going to have no drive to further their careers.
Why?
Because they're going to get 4 years of $200,000. To them, that's the world. Look at Josh Hamilton. He signed for $5 million, and then he just had no drive after that. You're basically just giving these kids the world only for it to just get. Would you be
if someone were to give you $200,000 today? It would be like, if you keep performing, I'll give you $20 million in 3 years. Would your drive just shut down? I don't think so. I think you'd be like, yeah, I want that. I'm going to work harder now.
I just think it's not like the players go into this blindly. They know what's happening.
They don't have a choice, though.
They
do.
No,
they don't.
They don't have to play
What else
football.
are they going to do? Yeah, but football gives them the best chance.
Go to school like a normal kid. I go to
school. Football
school
gives them
like
the best chance
kid.
at a better shot. And again, a lot of these kids
so
couldn't
take
get into
it.
school.
It's free.
But they're making so much money off of them.
They know that, though.
If it's free.
They know that.
But they don't have a choice. Their hands are tied in the situation.
Their hands are tied. Okay,
their hands are 100% tied.
When they sign to their university, their hands are tied behind their back.
They don't have a choice. It's not like they can make money if they want to.
You know what you're getting into. You know.
Because there's no other way to do it. There's no other way for them to do it. They have no other options here.
Yeah, they can just go to school like a normal kid if they feel like they're getting used.
Okay, two things. Let me
go
finish
to school
my 2
like
points.
A normal kid.
I'm
a normal kid. I go to school
normally. Can I finish my 2 points?
Well, I wasn't done my 1 point, and I said I could go to school like a normal child, and I could go there. I don't have to play on the soccer team
2
because I feel
points.
used.
First of all, these players playing on the football teams gives them a shot to make it to the NFL. Okay, some of them need that shot. And second of all, a lot of these players wouldn't even be able to get into school if it wasn't for football.
So I think you just won the argument from me. This
Not
is
really.
In the sense that kids who couldn't go to school are now going to school because of football.
Yeah, but you're saying why not just be like a normal kid? You're saying why not be like a normal kid and go to school and not play football?
If you're really upset and your feelings are hurt and you feel used, then just don't play football.
They don't have a choice. That's what I just got at that. They don't have a choice. Their feelings aren't hurt. They're just being used.
Their feelings are pretty
Nobody
hurt.
likes to be used.
Seems like your feelings
especially
are hurt.
when it seems like yours are hurt too.
Yeah, no, they're not hurt because I go to school like a normal child, and I just, I get a job in the summer.
But they don't have this choice. They can't.
You're making them sound like they have no arms, no legs,
they
and
don't.
half a head.
The NCAA has so
much
power over these students. It's ridiculous.
They don't have to get involved.
Yeah, but they don't have a choice. Otherwise, they couldn't go to school, and they couldn't play football if they didn't get involved. So they have to get involved. But when they're involved, they have no way to make money.
They don't have a choice to go to school? I don't get that. Mark, you jump in.
Yeah, Mark, let's hear some thoughts.
All right, so what do you want to hear now?
What's your opinion?
On Alex's side, what happened to you?
Well, I don't know. Like, college football is already bigger than the CFL.
Wait. College football is arguably bigger than the NFL.
I would much rather watch college football than the NFL, to be honest.
You know what? Yeah. Okay. So it's absolutely, without a doubt, bigger than the CFL. That's a guarantee. And then it is arguably bigger than the NFL. So, with that said, that term bigger than the NFL, that means that it's bringing in revenue because people are watching the sport because it is more popular, okay? So with that revenue, with that more revenue, that's a lot of revenue, okay? That's a lot of money that they can pour into these college teams. These college teams then have a lot of money. You can see it by looking at Texas's dressing room. It is arguably the best dressing room I've ever seen in my life, okay? And when these players are getting paid, is it a big deal?
Exactly.
There's access money. College football will always be making money.
If they have this much money through the football program to make such amazing training facilities, they couldn't dish a little out to show some thank you to the players?
The little they dish out is the free tuition, in my opinion.
But when they're making so much off their backs.
Think about this, man.
They're making
30 grand
so
for 4 years, 130 is low, I think. I really think that
they're
30
making
is
so
low.
much off these
so
guys'
let's even
backs,
go
though.
just 40. That's over
a ridiculous amount of money off their backs.
$150,000.
Frankly, it's a slap in the face. That's all they give them.
150 is a slap in the face. Where are you working? Got to get your
for the amount, like Mark said, for the amount that they deserve. For the amount that they deserve,
150 is a slap
in the face. The amount that they're worth.
No. I never said that the amount that they deserve is more.
The amount that they're worth.
Okay, I'm just saying that college football is far more popular than the CFL, so they're obviously going to make more money. All right, so I'm not saying they deserve more. I'm just saying if you have the money to pay your players to give them an incentive to play,
exactly,
why not? You know,
exactly.
hey, Joe, you're the quarterback of our team, and if you want to bring this team to a bowl, a championship game, and get a few rings, and then get a fat contract in the NFL, getting drafted in the top 10 in the draft, I'll give you some more extra cash. It's on me. Here you go. You want to play better, I'll give you more money. And
we haven't even gotten into the part that these players can't make money off their own backs. What school does that YouTuber play for? I can't remember, but there's a YouTuber in the NFL he's pretty well, or in the NCAA. Sorry, he does pretty well on YouTube. But the NCAA is saying that he either has to pick between football and YouTube because he's making money off his YouTube channel, which is ridiculous. That he can't do both. Just because he's in the NCAA, and the NCAA doesn't want their athletes making money.
So you want these guys to design jerseys of themselves and sell them on the street?
I do know where Alex is coming from because I'm a fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I know that about 5 years ago, some of the players got suspended because they were having their own tattoo business, and they got suspended.
And that's just ridiculous.
Because they're just making money.
I think there are definitely spots where it could be flawed, and I think this is one of the spots where it should get clear because this guy who's doing YouTube, I think that it's strange that I wouldn't really say he's it is him, but it's not like him in a football setting. Do I think that these guys should be making money off their autographs or making money off jerseys? Or I think that's really kind of bush league, and I would say no.
NFL players do.
Yeah, well, they're in the NFL. They're professionals, and they're not getting things paid for. They're not getting their house paid for on the side. You have to realize that tuition paid for is massive.
The dorms we lived in houses. They're kind of just like rooms.
That room cost me $7,000. I would have taken that room for free if I could have.
Yeah, but what if that room cost you $7,000? You got it for free, but somehow they were able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars off you living in this free room.
Well, I knew that going into it, and that's the decision I made.
You didn't have a choice.
So you're making them sound like robots. I don't know what games you watch, but they're not robots.
They don't have a choice.
They do have a choice.
They
don't have to play football.
Yes, they do. For the two reasons I already said.
Well, then they get free school. You're not making any sense. They either have the choice to not get free school, or they get the choice to play in front of millions and get free school. So, as much as it would suck to play in front of millions of people
really hung up
and
on the
have
fact that it's
tuition paid
millions
for,
of people.
If I could play in front of 10 people, I'd be happy.
Really
if I got to go play hockey
in
front of 10 people,
making so much money off
I would
of
be
you,
pumped.
It doesn't really matter how many people are watching.
You're really hung up on the fact that there's all this money here.
Yes, because that's
I'm really
what the
hung
issue
up on
is.
the fact, and
that's
I'm hung up on the fact that they're
is.
getting complete exposure. So it's really your word of money versus my word of, free tuition, exposure, and I think probably the best possible university life you could live. You are an alpha everywhere. Everyone looks
debatable.
up to you. Think about
you think these players really care about being alpha? It's not a popularity contest.
I'm sure they don't hate the
serious?
It's not middle school. It's not middle
Are
school.
you serious? You don't think these guys care about everyone knowing their name around campus?
We're not writing lists about who's more popular than who. Oh, the middle linebacker's more popular than the cornerback.
I never wrote a list about popularity in middle school. But I'm saying that if you could play on a sports team and get a lot of like it's not even so much that they're the big man on campus.
I don't think I care about that.
Well, that's impressive. I got to say that's impressive. You were definitely raised in a good household.
Just personally, I don't think that all that. Honestly, sometimes you wouldn't even want that attention. Sometimes you'd want to just be able to go out and chill with your boys and not have everyone watching you all the time.
I do know. I think it's also the fact though that Johnny Manziel. Let's bring his name up. If Johnny Manziel wants an actual office job, who is not going to at least have an interview with him?
Do we really
all these
think
guys?
Johnny Manziel was smart enough going into Texas A&M where he could have gotten a business program?
I don't know what program he was in, but it was free. And I know that he has a degree now. And I know that he can go out and find a job because he got a degree that was paid for. And Johnny Manziel probably, I don't know what Johnny Manziel's family life was like.
Is he in jail right now?
But if Johnny Manziel wasn't playing football, maybe he wouldn't have a degree. And what's Johnny Manziel going to be doing now with no degree?
He already does that
or
with
something
his degree.
Above that. So, there's so many players that wouldn't have a chance to get a further education, and football gives them that chance. Sure, they make money off them. But they're giving them the world. They're giving them endless opportunities. And the fact of it is if football doesn't work out, people are going to want to sign these guys just solely on the fact that they know who they are and they know what they're about. If you put a good name out there for yourself, if you make sure that you're a respectable college student, if you make sure that you try actually hard in your degree, I think there's no doubt that people, if you don't make it football-wise, people will know your name, people will know what you're about, and you will have no problem finding a job. You have a degree now too.
I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this.
I think you just need to think tonight when you're in bed. You need to think, I wish I wasn't wrong on the subject, and then you can come upstairs and say I was wrong, because these guys have the world in the palm of their hand, and don't say they don't, because they do. And sure, Texas A&M, $600,000, whatever. They're playing in front of millions. They're getting a free college degree, and they're getting endless exposure.
And
I don't know what else could you want. So what? Give them $2,000 each.
I don't know what the number
would you be happy?
I can't
would you
tell
be happy with $2,000?
That's a start. That's certainly a start.
Because there will be schools that could only afford to give $2,000 to their players.
That's certainly a start.
And you can't give more to Texas A&M.
Certainly a start.
That would just completely. So you're happy with that? That's the end of the
$2,000?
debate. You're happy. That's it. $2,000 is going to change your whole.
I just think they should get paid.
Because what about a school that's a low income school? Their football program sucks, and they can only give $2,000.
I'm not.
Are you going to give Texas A&M 10?
I'm not going to be the one to say how much
everyone's going to go to Texas A&M, and college football gets skewed.
They can only have 50 players.
Yeah, so then it gets skewed. All the best players will go to the schools that pay the most.
And then there goes college football. The big schools already get all the best players. The big schools already get all the best players. That wouldn't change anything.
Not always.
Yes, always.
Not always.
Yes, always. The best players go to the best schools. That's how it works.
But I'm saying they'd go to only the top school that pays the top money.
And that's already what they're doing.
No, there are more than one top schools to go play football.
Sorry, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, USC. They can all afford the same kind of money. Okay.
Okay.
Those
so
top
let's say
schools,
that
wouldn't make much
LSU
difference.
gets to pay their players $32,000 each, and everyone is under $32,000. Everyone's going to go to LSU.
They can only take so many players.
I'm saying that we'll have the best 50 players because that's where the 50 best will go.
No, they won't.
Yes, they will.
I don't know how the money system works.
Why would you not want to get the
most
money?
They'd have to put a cap on it.
You need to
figure out. For most teams.
You need to figure out how it would work because you either have to pay
That's
everyone
not my
the same.
job. First, they need to get paid, and then we can worry about how much.
No.
Yes.
You're in the complete wrong. You have to know how much they're going to get paid before you pay them. You're not just going to say,
you need to agree that they should get paid.
No, you need to have a plan first. You can't just
Sorry. I've
say...
been a little bit busy lately. I've been a little bit too busy to work on a plan for how much college athletes should get paid.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying...
You just did.
You just need to think that there will be some schools that can only pay them, let's say, $2,000. So are we going universal across the board, a uniform amount of $2,000 to every single player? Are you happy now? $2,000? Does that change their life?
If that's a start,
because that's $2,000 to the bar.
If that's a start,
that's
$2,000
in bar money, and the occasional pack of Katie. I'm telling you that much.
These players, again, they have better things to do than
go to the bar.
Yeah.
They have better things to do in university than go to a bar and
being high-level college athletes.
What are they going to do?
Train.
What's $2,000 going to help them training with? A medicine ball? They already have that at their facility. What is $2,000 going to get?
Recreation costs? I don't know, man. I don't know what these players spend their money on. I don't know. I don't ask.
Okay, but I'm just saying, what do they need to spend their money on?
I don't know. When they're done school, so they have a little something.
That $2,000 is going to be gone, man, on either food or something. It's going to be
exactly.
gone.
So you're saying that they need it.
So they're going to have no money.
You're saying that they need it. At least they have stuff. Right now, they have no money and they have stuff to buy. At least this way, they have a little bit of money.
What do you think?
I'm still on Caleb's side that they get the free tuition, and that's what they need. They get the popularity. Like I said, I love college football. I will pick a Ohio State versus Oklahoma game that happened 2 weeks ago over a Cleveland Browns versus Jacksonville Jaguars game that's on the NFL Network any day of the week. And like Caleb said, you don't think that the college guys would die to get on this stage.
Man, if I got to play baseball in front of 25 people, I'm happy. My adrenaline is running.
I think this is a larger issue, though. That's what I'm saying. It's a larger issue. Like, I'd love that, too, but when there's so much money being made...
That's a choice they make.
And Caleb's on that... They know exactly what they're getting into.
But they don't have a choice. What
are they? Are they a bag of dirt that just gets chucked around? They don't have the option to get paid. You're really stuck that they don't have a choice when they do.
They don't have an option to get paid.
All right, we're at 6:59. We got a show waiting for us. We gotta wrap it up. We might even continue this next week. But this has been the Night Sports Show on CRNC The Heat. I'm Zach DeWeerd along with Alex Vanderlaan, Caleb Radley, and Mark Vanderlugt. I hope you have a good night, and we will see you next time.